It's
Hello
great.
and welcome back to the Marvel Snapcast podcast. I'm your host, Ken, aka the Super Tech Guy, the gentleman with every variant in the game.
Every variant?
Every variant. And of course, I'm here with our
What?
co-host. It is a special episode. It is his birthday. Make sure you guys show some love for the one and only It's Guest Gaming. Guess how you doing, buddy?
Yep. Good, man. Good. Apparently very flickery on the video feed, but outside of that, I am doing great. Where I am here in Brazil, we are in less than 3 hours from my birthday registering. So by the time the podcast goes live, it will officially be the actual birthday, correct? We had a grill stream on Tuesday, and we did Brazilian barbecue outside while playing Snap, and all of the beer and all of the beef and pork, and just, yeah, it was a really, really great day. Really, really great day.
Did someone say beef?
Yes, beef.
Speaking of beef.
You know what they say about technical issues is the best thing to do is talk about them at the beginning ad nauseum, like as much as you possibly can, just to make sure that people who weren't going to notice it definitely notice it when it happens.
100%.
So I just want everyone watching, listening, keep an eye out for It's Guest Gaming's camera.
There we go.
Flick the words.
Yes. Point out every single flicker and count it and put it in the comments below.
Yes.
Please.
And now you guys might be wondering, who are these wonderful gentlemen on this YouTube channel? Because normally we're not here, but today we are going to be on ItsGuestGaming YouTube channel to celebrate his special birthday. And of course, we have a special guest with us, the one and only KM Best. KM, how you doing, buddy?
I'm good. I said I was going to get water right before you started the podcast. You started the podcast anyway, and then you were like, we'll just go without him, which is the appropriate attitude to have whenever I show up. Like, I think that's roughly relative to my contributions. So, I mean, I'm doing great. I'm missing the presumably world's worst Thursday night football game for this, the Unk Bowl with Joe Flacco, Aaron Rodgers. There will be a 10-point lead that will be wholly insurmountable by the time that I actually get around to catching that game. I'm doing good.
That's awesome, man. I'm glad to hear that. Yes, we said we want to give you a nice entrance, so you were able to come in right when you had to. Nonetheless, I want you to make sure you could catch that wonderful Unk Bowl, because you're right. I think it's going to end in probably 10-7 come the end of the
It's going to be the worst game of
1000%.
the season so far
1000%.
by a pretty wide margin, I suspect.
But this past weekend, of course, while you're here, as always, we had the wonderful Golden Gauntlet 3. Worlds 3, Qualifier World 3. There it is. Said it right this time.
Close enough.
And,
yep, that counts.
It wasn't right. I just want you to know.
I said close enough. We've given up. We've given up. He just handles the paperwork. That's fine.
That's all I need to do.
I just wanted to be clear.
That's my part. Nonetheless, now that we had 3 of these, we are on par for the next main event, the championship match. Before we talk about that, I want to get your guys' feedback on the last Golden Gauntlet. So I do have the final 4 decks up here for you guys to look at. I know when I asked you guys the previous one, which one did you guys think, what deck will show up in the championship match? And you all said, be something different, something special. And looking at these wonderful cards, I think it definitely was the case. So here it is. We have our final 4 decks, and it consisted of an Agony deck with Surfer, Moon Girl, Luna Snow. Of course, we had the wonderful Cosmic Ghost Rider with Cannonball and Mercury. We had the Korg, Darkhawk Madness, and of course, we had Supergiant, Red Skull, Sauron deck. So when you guys are coming down to the wire, enjoying these events, watching these matchups, how do you guys feel about these final 4 decks? Are these the best going into it? You guys, well, of course, obviously they were, but how do you guys feel about it? Should you feel some other decks should have been here, or these were the decks that should be here?
I'll tell you a story about Supergiant Sauron. Now, there's a player who may be well known in the community named Browday. Browday is a very good player, famously not a player who feels any type of confidence in doing anything ever, including deck selection. And so what Browday did, and we all learned this later from talking to each other, is he DM'd a bunch of people, what deck do you think I should play for Golden Gauntlet? And we later learned it was the exact same message. Like, he sent us each the same 3-line message of what should I play in Golden Gauntlet. And independently, a majority of people that responded to him were like, you should probably play Supergiant Sauron. Like that was just like a lot of the people who were at the highest levels of the game felt fairly confident that going into this tournament, Supergiant Sauron was probably the move. And I think that is the fact that it showed up here was a big, and I would argue fairly obvious like win, because like when everyone is saying that, when you're asking all the high level competitors, what should I take to this tournament? They're all coming out like, yeah, probably this. Well, maybe there's some value in trying to beat that too, which is how you get to what Cougar's list is. To me, that of course being the Craven, Silk, Sam Wilson list. That's how you get to that. And then there's Iris doing Iris things. People have already started to make fun of me for glazing Iris too much, for being like, wow, she's so cool. All these decks are so cool. But Iris and Cougar are two of the players who build decks that I want to play the most. The absolute most, consistently.
No, I mean,
on the other,
but guess, yeah, go ahead. I want to say, yeah.
You know, on the other end of it, I kind of feel like I was very, very surprised that not a single end of turn ended up making it into the top 4. I thought at least one was going to squeak in. I had it projected to win just because the power, even when you do tech for it, I mean, you can scale so incredibly high with that deck pretty consistently that I expected to see it, and it didn't make it into the top 4. Seeing the Darkhawk deck is kind of a nice little nostalgic piece for me, just because, you know, we've kind of gone full circle where Darkhawk was like the most, not oppressive, but most consistently good deck for a long time. And then it's kind of fell by the wayside because Black Bolt Stature got nerfed, and that whole package kind of made the package feel weird. And then they adjusted Rock Slide, and now we've started to see this resurgence, all because of Terrax, in my opinion. Everything started to bring Darkhawk back to the forefront, and then we got to the list that we now see here that made it into the finals, the Supergiant list, which is, as KM was talking about, specifically geared to counter all of that turn 5, turn 6 chaos that you see very often from more of the more common lists that are currently on ladder right now. And then there's Moon Girl. Not a list I ever in a million years saw coming. Because if you had to say, here, a Surfer list is going to make it into the top 4, this kind of a variation with Gambit, Dokken, and Moon Girl and Agony, I don't care who you are, including KM Best, you could not have predicted that one making it to the top 4.
I mean,
no
you say that,
way,
but
shape,
like,
or form, man.
You say that, but like, I was part of the chat room that was like putting the cards in this deck for a little bit. Like,
right,
Dakin Surfer is like an Iris OG specialty. That's when I first noticed her deck building. I will say this though. She really tried to play Shang-Chi over Moon Girl for like an extended period of this deck's life existing. So I will believe that. Like, I'm just
especially with all the Sauron
I'm just going to push
talk.
back on the idea that like this is like a Moon Girl deck. It kind of is, but I want to say that package came from Derek. The Quinjet Moon Girl stuff came from Derek, of course, winner of Golden Gauntlet 1. And the rest of this is just as Iris as a deck can ever get. Back when Galacta was doing +3s, this was like kind of a, like, there are 3 Iris decks that are like, oh, I should pay attention to this person. The first one is the original Galacta Dakin deck. The second one is the version of Sarah with the Ancient One and Miss Marvel. If you go back in my videos, you'll see that there as well.
Yep.
And the third one, in my opinion, was the sort of move towards Mysterio Gwenpool stuff before Jocasta came out. Those are the decks that, and like every time, it's incredible the amount to which it's like, oh, this is building for my sensibilities, right? Like there's a lot of that going on here. But those are, like, if you told me, you know, Iris is taking a Cook to a tournament, I wouldn't be like, oh, I'm going to expect a top 4. But I wouldn't be surprised by it. That's what I'll say.
Fair enough. I mean, it was just such an obscure list. that I never saw coming. And then it's kind of relieving at the same time to see a Hydra Stomper focused deck take it all, just because it has the flexibility of all of the tech pieces in there to combat a billion different things happening, as a generic style matchup. But then it has this unpredictability built into it, specifically because, at least to me, because of Silk. And Silk is like Gambit to me, where it works for everybody else, but never works for me. And I do everything I can to mitigate it and put the ordering, and I understand my ordering and something else always ends up happening. And it's a tough deck to truly get down and pilot and master. But I did want to ask KM to kind of feed one specific thing on this, because I saw your post on X and I loved it, which was the Sam Wilson apology form.
I stole that from Fox.
That.
Fox made that in February.
Wow.
Didn't post it then.
Yeah.
This one, and I have to guess, dug through the entire thing of his folder to go find the meme from February, post it in my Discord again, and prompt a discussion on death of the author, because you think there's a Mercury pun in there. No, the original meme just says Mercury was in retrograde. She wasn't even a card when that came out there.
Right.
And now it's a pun, but it was not intended as such.
Right.
'Cause this was made in February.
It was great. And I wanted to kind of lean into, because I started playing a little more Sam Wilson this week, specifically also. Why do you think we fell off Sam Wilson?
Okay, so this deck specifically, like I said, Iris and Cougar are two of like the people that I like net decking the most.
Right.
This was originally an Iris joint that became a Cougar joint, but Cougar's kind of been a Sam Wilson truther the entire time. Anyway, the point here is that this deck is sort of like aimed directly at my heart, so I won't be able to speak in an unbiased manner on it. But what strikes me about this is how contextual it is. Because I think if you play this and you have the wrong answers, it's not going to do well enough for you. If you play this frankly and you don't draw enough Sam Wilson, it's not going to do well enough for you. Whenever you are not Sam Wilsoning, you are a deeply mopey deck. The thing that actually struck me the most about this deck is how impressed I was with Cosmic Ghost Rider, who is Red Guardian-esque in his ability to not ever be a perfect answer to anything, but be a good enough answer to a lot of things. And I think the deck gets a lot out of that in a tournament setting that it probably doesn't have on ladder. This is a deck that's covering for a lot of different matchups. The ones that are really bad are things that are Cerebro-related, mostly. And you're able to cover for most everything else, depending on positioning and things of that nature. It's a Red Guardian-esque dynamic. Red Guardian was better at doing that, but now it isn't. And so you have this deck that is a points package I would argue almost that the points package is secondary. What makes this deck function: Mercury, Mobius, Juggernaut, Cosmic Ghost Rider, Cannonball. And then whatever points package you want to be doing there, that's whatever. But those are the things that allow you to be in every game. And there's a lot of upside to being in every game in a tournament.
I totally agree. And this is why this list became the winner, right? Because of all the things that it had here that it can handle when going up the ranks of the entire tournament. And the surprise factor of the Cosmic Ghost Rider, which has become one of the great tech card that it is. Even when those cards got unnerfed, people are still running Cosmic Ghost Rider, as they should, because it is a great card. But the question I have for both of you is, the top 4, I think some of even the top 16, did not have Shang-Chi in the deck. Do we see Second Dinner reverting Shang-Chi back to what he is in the next OTA?
No.
Okay.
Almost.
Okay. So what? All right, let me hear your almost first before KM dive into his no. Why do you say
so?
Almost?
They made in the last, not the last, but in one of the previous OTAs when they reverted back Shang-Chi to this version that we now have. They specifically said they wanted to see the statistics and how he performed in Golden Gauntlet in particular. And I think that the combination of seeing the amount of Sauron decks in the final list and seeing the success of the Sauron decks will bring awareness to them of, hang on, keep a real eye on Shang-Chi. If they were to make any further adjustments to Shang-Chi, the only one, I don't think they give it a full reversion ever back to original 4-3, eliminate the entire lane. I think that they put a little targeting on it and say the highest one. So if there are more than two, it will always hit the highest. Two or more, it'll always hit the highest one. Okay. I think that's a functionality change just to make sure there's some kind of targeting in there. But that's about as far as I think they bring it. I don't think they would ever bring it back to the whole lane, because then we just go right back to where we were. And it was, I mean, we saw all of the team answers in the past of how often they talked about, they build around Shang-Chi with big cards very often. They think about that extensively, about what is the relevance of this card to being available for the players as a counter to new card that's coming out. So having it be a full lane clear is really tough for, you know, that for that kind of a restriction. Right. I think that a single target is fine. Maybe target the highest card at most, but I don't think they ever go back to full lane.
All right. And KM, you feel the same way. So no, not even target the highest card, or just
I just don't. I feel like I'm taking crazy pills. Well, Shang-Chi had a negative win rate in Golden Gauntlet. Isn't that true in every Golden Gauntlet? Like, what are we talking about?
No, it's a fair point.
Like,
negative.
It's worse. Yeah. But it's like, it wasn't, there have been at least 3 Golden Gauntlets where if you were bringing Shang-Chi in your deck, you were probably throwing. Like.
Yes. And at the same time, but that specific pool, though, of players versus global ladder. That's what I'm saying. Like in the tournaments,
sure.
Most people just say, I need a tech card, I throw in Shang-Chi. But to be honest, and you know this just as well from being in the what we'll call the top echelon of players and deck building and construction and understanding metas, sometimes it's the time for Shang-Chi and sometimes it's not. And we said it going into the last one. This is not a Shang-Chi meta. Why is 40% of the field bringing in Shang-Chi in any way, shape, or form? This is an end of turn meta. And it just didn't make any sense. And the win rate reflected that. Going to this version of Shang-Chi as well, it still didn't fully justify it, and still just as many people brought it in, and the same result happened. But if you look at the card globally, it's completely different than the tournament results.
But you were making your argument based on the tournament results.
Yes, I'm making it based on, do they need to pay attention to it? Because that's what they literally said they were going to do in the OTA notes.
I just think that, like, this would be the expected result if you're them. Like, a bunch of people took Shang-Chi, and hopefully they'll learn not to do that in the future. Like, that's, like, when
I think
the amount
that's
of Shang-Chi...
our expected result, though.
Sure,
I don't know if it's
like,
theirs.
They're not stupid. Like, I don't know, man. I don't think that, like... I don't know. I kind of think that they would, like, expect that Shang-Chi would do bad, and that would probably be an argument for this being a good thing. Because if Shang-Chi is doing well in metagames that aren't suited for him, that is indicative of him being a little too strong. I think the best argument I can think of for a Shang-Chi reversion, I'll tell you that much, is that it's a free-to-play card. I think that if you want to make a serious argument for Shang-Chi reversion, you make the argument that it allows a free-to-play player to engage with competitive Marvel Snap at a much sooner level than if they are doing what they have to do now and go get Cosmic Ghost Rider, right? Like, I think that is... And that dynamic might not be perfectly healthy, because maybe when they're designing new cards, Think for Steps, I think, looks like an example of this from the outside to me. They're like, how do we make a card that's big that doesn't get Shang-Chi'd? And then suddenly the people who pay money have access to an answer to the answer, and the people who are using the answer are priced out of that. Like there's no real perfect setup. But I think the compelling argument for reverting Shang-Chi is largely one of, like, you took away the best card from a new player. I'm not anywhere near feeling like this card needs a reversion. If you want to give it a power, yeah, you know, whatever. But, like, when you look at that Sauron deck, is there a way you can pull that on screen right now?
Yep, I'll pull it back up right now.
Yeah, I think it's a Sauron that has what, like 3 targets or something like that. If I
Yeah,
remember
like,
correctly.
and how many are you? First of all, how many of those are actually happening? Second of all, this is a deck that is explicitly good against Shang-Chi in other ways, such as Alioth or hiding its thing with priority under the Supergiant. There is literally just a Star Brand and a Red Skull in here. They're never going to be in the same lane. Like, what is Shang-Chi not doing against this that a reversion would allow it to do? If like a Surtur Sauron deck was doing stuff, people playing like Crossbones and Cull Obsidian, I'd be like, all right, maybe that's a compelling argument for Shang-Chi. But this doesn't strike me as one. This strikes me as, oh, I can finally actually do this because 40% of decks don't have this card.
I think the community very often sees a Sauron deck also, and more often than not, they build a Sauron deck. They don't build this. This is a deck meant for competitive Snap. It has counters, it has answers, it has RNG built into it with Iron Patriot. It has the control from Negasonic and Enchantress and Shadow King and Red Guardian. That's a lot to take in, but let's be honest, for the longest time, full-on Billy Joel style, that was not what you think of when you think of Sauron decks. It was, where's the type? And I even said it just a second ago. How many did it have? 3? No, it doesn't even have Typhoid Mary. Where's Typhoid? Where's Cull Obsidian? Where, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Like, that's kind of where your brain goes to. Is it a Scar variation? Yada, yada. So I think that this might need just like a new name because it's not a Sauron deck. You know, it's almost built more deck. Like a it's a super giant variation of Sauron that people just go, oh, Sauron. That's it. You know, it's kind of like Nightmare decks in the same sense where, yeah, it could be a Sauron deck, but it's known as a Nightmare deck because it gives you that extra alternate play to it. Like, I don't know.
No, this is exactly like, I almost worry I'm getting too obvious here. So stop me if I am.
No, you're good.
This deck and the deck below it on the screen are the exact same deck. It's just a difference in choice of power. Like, where's my power coming from? We have, with the Sauron deck, we have our 1 that is Sauron, we have our 3 that is Starbrand, and we have our 5 that is Red Skull. And then we have Korg, we have Terrax, we have Darkhawk. Like, those are the same cards. And then the rest of the deck is like, oh, I've chosen Enchantress over Alioth. Like, those 2 decks are the same deck. And
the thing that, sorry.
Oh, no. It's just like, I think that previously it would have been harder to play a deck with 1 or 2 big guys in it because everyone is just running Shang-Chi for whatever reason. Like, it's just whatever, you know? Decks like this allow you to actually do that without meaningfully pushing on whatever guardrail Shang-Chi represented. So to me, these 2 decks succeeding is an argument for keeping Shang-Chi in the dumpster.
Keep him the way he is. That's fair.
Yeah.
Because
I will say something that did surprise me was the Lizard, though.
As opposed to, like, what other 2?
I'm not sure, to be completely honest. I'm just, because typically you see Lizard and you go, oh, okay, this is going to be countered in some way. You know, you're going to be able to turn it off with a 0 or an Enchantress, or, you know, you're factoring how to handle that negative ongoing at some point. This one just says, no, I'm good.
Well, no worries. Negasonic, but I said Negasonic's there. Yeah. So you put Lizard in the lane, you can put Negasonic in, and guarantees that doesn't get full.
Yeah.
So that's your counter for that.
I think it's largely like that's not like, oh, Lizard's amazing. It's just there's not, whenever they make a good 2, it's like a 2/3 with upside. It's never just like a guy with some stats.
Yeah.
And so for a deck that cares so much about priority, it's got to be a guy with some stats. And Lizard is just kind of the only 2 that is designed with that kind of concept in mind.
Which has a good downside, which is a fair downside, I should say. So
right. And so like if you're looking for like, you know, the downside of it, like what is the Black Cat of 2 drops? Oh, yeah, it's kind of Lizard.
It's Lizard. Yep, facts. 100%. Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, listen, that's what I want to know your take on it about Shang-Chi. Does power need to be controlled? the way it used to be, or do we leave it the way it is and everybody have a good time playing decks the way they should? Because I agree with you, and I said the same thing a couple weeks ago. Who's putting 2 or more big power cards in the same lane? People were doing it in the past, but at the end of the day, now you shouldn't really have to worry about that. And then I feel for Shang-Chi, they can keep him the way he is, but maybe drop him in cost. Why not make him a 3 cost? Let me hear your take on why, because you guys feel, when I said that, looks like you guys are ready to jump. Should he not be a 3 cost?
I want him to stay in the trash can. Please don't make him better. That's my take.
That's making it better.
Guest, over to you.
I think that's making it fair. I think that's making
Look,
it
I
fair,
mean,
but be here.
Ken, I'm going to have to use past tense now. I used to support you with your Infinite adventure, and then
Yes.
you said that, and no,
What's the matter?
never.
No?
Do you not remember what it was like with old Zabu?
Of course. But he was going to a 2.
Okay, so then shut up. Never recommend that again.
You're reacting to this like a medieval king pulling the charter on like an entire expedition for like some unrelated slight. I supported your infinite venture, but you now have offended me, sir.
Therefore, I
Exactly.
revoke
Wow.
this. Oh, no.
Wow, the madness. All right, that's fair. That's fair. Those who are listening, those who are watching, let us know down below what you feel about Shang-Chi. Should he be a lower cost, leave him the way he is, or should he revert back? And I don't think he should revert back at all. I agree. But let's see what else happens down the line. Nonetheless.
Was that just like your moment of rage bait?
Yes.
Like, are you
yes,
just like, what? What's
Yes,
that?
yes.
I got it.
We have to get,
I-
we want people to, give us some feedback. How they feel. That's how we get them. That's how we hook them.
There's feedback,
Oh,
and then
what do you mean
there's
get
like
them? You got us.
unsubscribe. You know the difference, right?
You got, no, he's
know,
not
I
rage
got-
baiting the
no,
audience. I'm saying he's rage baiting
you
us.
guys.
He's
Yeah.
rage baiting me and he's rage baiting you. And we can't fall for this crap anymore.
need to.
We have to do better.
All right, let's
He
talk about
has to
something
be
else.
better.
Buff Infinite. What do you think Infinite should be when it gets?
I'm with you on that. I think he should be
Thank
like
you.
25 or something. I think that's
Ooh,
funny.
I
But
say
I also think
24.
that he needs to give him like a thing where it's like, you can't summon this off of Hela. Like
Yes. I like
outside
that.
of like what is good design principles and all of that
Yes.
shit,
Yeah.
it's terrible design principles to print that shit on a card.
Yes.
Outside of that, though, 625 can't be summoned by Hela. You have to actually like it can. How about like this can only enter the board if you didn't play a card last turn? You know,
Yes.
sure.
Yes,
Change
'cause
his text to that.
I did have that because I said then he could still be played with Agamotto. What's the spells? So you can still play the spells on turn 5 and still play him afterwards. That would be awesome.
Oh no, I said a card.
A card, right? So we should be able to
Card.
play a spell, right? Oh, card is a
No,
spell.
a
card-
card,
card
not a
character.
character. A card.
Oh.
Yeah.
I'm
Okay,
saying
fair.
like 625, but
Yes.
in exchange,
Nothing.
none of that.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
So
No
can he-
Hela. Get it out of here. Play it normally.
I feel nothing could pull him on the board. No Red Wing.
Yeah.
No Hela. None of that. I'm with you.
Yeah,
on
it'd
that.
break Red Wing and Jubilee, which is why it's bad design, right? Like
Yeah.
it's terrible
Yeah.
design to do that. I get it. It sucks. They
Yeah.
shouldn't actually do this. But in a magical world where I was in charge of Snap, I was like the Snap czar, I would try to find a way to make that happen.
Yeah. That's
I
fair.
think
All
I
right.
think there are restrictions you could put on it. Like the chat's even talking about it here over like saying, some kind of restriction of, cannot be discarded or cannot be resurrected. Like
No,
just
see,
a-
all of that is just as bad, right? Like it's
Yeah.
all just like
'Cause then
Do you remember
why?
when
You have an ebony blade that can't be destroyed. Why not?
that's getting something. That's saying this card can't exist if it's just constantly being blown the fuck up. This is saying we're adding text to take something away from you. To say this way that you want to play the card, actually, we think that you shouldn't be able to do that. I have been known for hacky designs in the past. Like, Mockingbird doesn't work with Thanos stones. And when I was able to talk to actual design professionals, one of the things that I learned the absolute most was like, what you don't want to do is write on the card that the cool thing that your player base wants to do with it is not something you think they can do.
Right.
It's your job to make that cool thing balanced. It's not your job to tell them, we couldn't figure out how to balance this. Sorry, dude. It's too bad. So I admit that it's bad design on my part. I want to be super clear. In a magical world where I had a way to make it not bad design, that's when I would want to do this.
Right.
Right.
Well, I mean, we could just say Hela
Makes
cannot
sense.
resurrect cards with the base power 20 plus.
That's the same thing. The whole fantasy of Hela is a bunch of big guys coming back from the graveyard, and you're just like, what if we capped the big guys?
Exactly.
But they did, but they basically did, though, by saying
they
it's
capped-
one per cost.
One per cost, but you're still getting the fantasy of my army comes back from the grave, including this really big giant guy. He's the, you remember in Ragnarok, the Fenris Wolf? You know, he's the boss monster of my army. Like, it's still all there. And then saying like, actually, there's a power limit on it. Like, it's the balance between good balance and good design.
Right.
I think Marvel Snap tends more towards good design, and I think that's probably correct.
That's fair. Well, either way, he needs a buff. I hope they make it happen. I say 624. You can't play a card the previous turn, and he can't be destroyed or moved. I would like that to be his wonderful new change. But we'll see what happens.
On that note, so I will because it is our end of the deal. On the next episode, when we go back to your channel,
Yes.
as promised, I will share with you the full conversation I had with Glenn Jones, specifically talking about the Infinite, and I will leave it at that.
All right. That's good stuff. I hope it went somewhere.
Did you corner Glenn? You're like, Glenn, I gotta grill you on the Infinite real quick for a podcast bit.
No, hysterically, we had that conversation organically prior to any conversation here on the podcast about it. It was just getting some feedback on an idea. And Glenn, he's very open to those kinds of conversations. He's great to talk to. So we had a full conversation about the card. And I have not shared that with Ken at all because he's on this whole campaign. So I'm like, okay, I'll wait.
All right, so
But
you're a bad
I'm
friend.
also going to bait him.
You're a bad friend. You're gonna use this for content instead of for helping your friend's campaign.
It's totally fine.
Yes.
They have offended you, Mr. Medieval Monarch. You will no longer
Yes.
support.
Yes.
That's exactly
And
what
don't
it
do
is.
it again or I will smite you.
Wow, that's exactly what
I
it
will.
is.
I have been in concert with the Lord Glenn Jones. He has sent me this reply, but I will not share it with you.
my goodness.
He
That's
just sort of
exactly how I
walks
feel.
off in like a Sheriff of Nottingham hat.
That would be
It's true.
awesome. We could actually make that happen. Speaking of crazy things to happen, KM, I don't want to take up your time.
Go ahead.
You want to dive into some
I'm sure
OTAs?
nobody has scored yet. I'm not worried.
All right, let's do it. So we're going to dive into the OTAs that we have this wonderful day of today. So we had some
Okay, it's
balance updates.
7-0. The game is absolutely over.
And who's winning? The
7-0.
Steelers are up by 7. There's
Yeah, we
no
knew it.
shot Joe
We knew
Flacco
it.
scores a
We
touchdown.
knew
We're
the
done
Steelers.
here.
Seven, yeah.
It's
noted.
we're done.
7-3. Yep. All right, there you go. So we have these awesome balance updates that happened today. Kicking things off with the season pass card, which is not shocking. I'm very happy to see that they made the change to a card that needed it and didn't wait until the end of the season. Zombie Scarlet Witch was a 3-2. After you play a card here, Horde +2, it is now a 3-4. I think this is a great change. I hope it really does help the card. I haven't played with it yet, but I'm assuming it will because getting additional 2 power, not just 1, makes this card, to me, 5 to 10 times better. So I'm happy with this change. KM, you're here. What do you feel about Zombie Scarlet Witch? Good or bad? Thumbs up. That means it's
Good change.
Yep.
Yep.
Guess. How about you?
Big thumbs up. And it just made my best deck of the season so far even better.
I love to hear that. All right. I can't wait to play this on Sanctum. I think now Sanctum is going to be fun playing with some zombies. And of course, next on the list, we have Zombie Giant Man, who was a 5-3 on reveal, Horde +1, then gains the power equal to the Zombie Horde. Now it's a 5-4, and it gets another additional power to the Horde, giving the Horde +2 this time, which I think is pretty cool because now this wonderful card can be a 5-6 or even higher. How do you guys feel about Zombie Giant Man? I think this is a great change.
You're not going to get much disagreement from me, my man.
I love it. I love it.
I think that this is at a might even be the bare minimum for the zombie package. They might need more.
Yeah, maybe you're right. I think I totally agree with you
Yeah.
on that. Next on the
Yeah,
list, we have...
I do think it's worth noting, just real fast with that,
Yep.
Glenn's answer when asked about it too, where they originally said that they released Giant Man and Zombie Scarlet Witch based on the final full package of once you have all of them kind of a thing. this is where we feel like the card is most balanced. So I'm curious to see if by the end of the month, when we do have all of the cards, now because we've tuned, Scarlet Witch and Giant Man all the way up,
Right.
is it too overtuned, and then do they have to bring it back down later on?
I don't think so. I think I don't believe this.
I'm curious.
Zombies
I
are
don't
gonna
know
be
if it's going to be. I haven't sat and figured out the package, but I'm just curious because that's what they balanced it on originally. Was that idea?
I'll tell you this. I bet they did balance for this card before they did the tech stuff. That's what I'll say. When you have like a stat stick kind of deck like this, where you're like, oh, I've got my 2/8, I've got my 3/12, that stuff is good in a world where you're zabooing Shang-Chi and Enchantress, right? My stats stick, your stats, your game plan gets obliterated, right?
Yeah.
You don't do that anymore. Nobody builds like that because you can't build like that because it's not good. And so I almost wonder if the whole premise of this package being good was based on it supplementing, it serving as the points in a points in tech mid-range deck in a powerful way, that a style of deck that doesn't even really exist anymore. And I kind of wonder about that as a reason why they were low on it.
That could be the case. We're going to find out when the other zombie cards come out. I still feel that the zombie package may need some more love, but we'll find out. Invisible Woman First Steps, a thorn in a lot of people's sides, went from a 3/5 to now a 3/3. So losing 2 power, not just 1 like the normal nerfs. They really wanted to bring home that Invisible Woman First Steps needed to be toned or touched. And it looks like giving her -2 power was the way to go. I am totally okay with this because her activate ability is way more powerful than her power. So to me, doesn't bother me, at least at any point. I think you're still going to play this card to do what it does and not worry about the additional 3 power in that. I mean, additional 3 power in that lane, because you're going to be looking to buff all the other cards in that lane or elsewhere. So for me, this doesn't really make a difference. How you feel about it, KM?
I think they did this one because it's Guest's birthday. You know what I mean?
That's fair. That's true.
I think this one goes out. I think this one goes out to you. It's Guest Gaming.
Yes.
No way.
Happy birthday.
Yes. He
Not at all.
So you're right. You're right. That makes sense. Guess, I know you're happy because you've been dying for a nerf, but is this the nerf you're looking for?
Not at all. Not until she's 4 cost. Because you said it. You said it perfectly.
Yeah.
This does shit to the deck.
Yeah, right.
It's 2 points in the lane that doesn't matter comparatively.
Correct.
I'll argue against you.
Okay, let's say the argument.
Yeah, when you're comboing off, this doesn't do shit except make this also die to Lady Deathstrike, which does, I think, perhaps matter. But when you're not comboing off, you are playing as a mid-range deck. And the strength of the deck is that it gets to be a floor mid-range deck, ceiling combo deck, that it gets to choose which one it wants to be based on the matchups. Gets to combo off against the decks that don't have any defense for the combo, but against the decks that do have defense for the combo, just gets to play a normal mid-range deck. And a lot of that is down to her stat line. And that ability to have that floor. When you lower her stat line, you lower the floor. You make it more all in on the combo, more susceptible to getting Cosmic Ghost Rider, more susceptible to getting Lady Deathstruck, more susceptible to all sorts of bullshit, right? You are more invested in doing that. And so I do think, honestly, low-key, I think they over-nerfed her. That's why I said this was a present to you, because I was like, I'm not saying she's dead. I think she'll probably be around, but she'll be much more one-dimensional in a way that should make her a lot easier to deal with.
I think that's true for about a week, because what's going to happen is all those players are just going to change the play style of, instead of feeling comfortable dropping this down on turn 3, knowing it can't get LDS'd, now the meta will change. You'll see more LDS. I saw LDS today while playing Cerebro. I was like, okay, I got LDS'd. Already people are starting to change to it. And then the play style will change according to it. And then people will start playing it on turn 5, because you'll almost never want to play LDS on turn 6. It always feels bad to do the 5+1 unless if that one is really substantial. You know, you've got your move, you've got your Miles Morales or your Bob, or, at minimum a Bob, I should say. I think that it does nothing for the scaling of the deck. Therefore, it's not an effective nerf It's just 2 points off of it to make it easier to target. But it is an easier thing to play around if you're the pilot of the deck, to put it into the back row, to hold it until turn 5.
Sure. I mean, I don't really see anything that says that, but what it does is clog up their ability to actually play cards. The deck is already pretty heavy on cards you don't want to play early, right? You have a lot, like one of the biggest problems with that deck is you got a bunch of cards where you're just like, I don't want to play this. I have to wait to play this. I don't have the ability. Like, what are you going to do? Play a Havoc? No. So between this and Jocasta, it's now like, if I'm going to sit around here playing around Lady Deathstrike, I'm not playing either of those cards, which means I'm also giving up on Prodigy, which is, if you're playing like that, it's already a hit to the power level of the deck. Like, I don't even think it's correct to play like that, because you just have to make them have it. And also, I genuinely think you got your birthday wish. You just don't know it yet. I think you know, when you grow older, wiser, more mature, you'll look back on this and be like, it might not have been what I wanted, but it was what I needed. It was what I needed to happen here. I think that is a likely outcome here.
Wiser, yes. More mature, yes. Older, I've got you.
All right.
I thought one of those would be like, no, I'm not. But no, you were just like, yeah, I'll do all of those things. Like me, I just get older. I get dumber and less mature. But like, I guess we can't all be built like Guest.
No, we cannot. We don't have our vitamins like Guest. So does that mean that finally can we get Mr. Fantastic First Steps back to a 2 cost?
No.
Oh my gosh, you guys don't want to have any fun in Marvel Snap. Okay, fine.
He's doing this at the end of every segment now.
Yeah,
like, hey,
that,
this generally well-regarded balance decision, what do you guys think about undoing it?
And just keep reading the notes, okay?
Next we have
Thanks.
Shadow King. Buff, Mr. Fantastic First Steps. Shadow King. Wow. Shadow King going to a 3 cost. So Shadow King dodged the nerfs when they were doing the whole, nerfing the other cards, the tech cards. Shadow King dodged it. Now he's a 3/4. So for me, I think this kind of sucks. But at the end of the day, Shadow King was doing big things in the Cerebro 2 decks. So I guess at this point, why not nerf the card and make him a 3 cost, which I think is horrible. Not a big fan of this. How do you feel about it, KM?
I mean, secretly, I don't think people had really adjusted to this guy being back. And a lot of that is a lot of the green power you saw was end of turn stuff where he didn't do anything, right?
Yeah.
Like, you'll notice the only deck playing Shadow King in Golden Gauntlet was the one that could hide him until the end of the game, which is a pretty disgusting thing to do, right?
Right.
He's a fine card. I don't know what, well, okay. I don't want to speculate, but they're worried about the power level of Horde. They nerf Shadow King. It kind of makes sense, right? Like, that seems like a fairly reasonable thing to think about. I don't know if that's the reasoning. They said, like, we acknowledge it's a buff to Horde. We don't know how much it's going to move the needle. We'll do what we have to about Horde. I personally don't think they will have to.
Right.
But they are onto something, I think, in that it's probably not a fun gameplay style to have a card that just says, delete your opponent's cool thing that they've spent the entire game doing and have it be really cheap. And then you play that alongside like a Juggernaut or whatever, and it's like, okay, well, cool game, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right, guess.
I'm totally fine with it because 3-cost Shadow King got me to Infinite last month. So in my head, I'm like, okay, we just have to learn to play this version of Shadow King, just like we learned to play any other card that gets its cost adjusted. Mr. Fantastic First Steps, perfect example. Everyone was like, oh my god, 3 costs, it's dead. No. Give it like 2 weeks, and then it's just like, okay, everything's cool. We're all right. It's still a good card. We just learn how to use it differently. That's all.
That card is dead.
Well, I mean, it's a lot worse.
Yeah. Surge.
It's worse, but so is this. It's worse. You just learn how to use it. You just use it differently. That's my point.
All right, no problem. Mobius and Mobius. A thorn in a lot of people's sides as well. This card really is a no-fun police card when cards that came out like Warlock and other cards that help with discounting the cost of cards, Mobius shows his head and everybody gets upset. Now, he got nerfed, and he only lost a power. And again, back to the card we mentioned earlier, Mrs. Fantastic First Steps. Mobius power wasn't it. It wasn't what made people want to play Mobius. It was his wonderful ongoing ability, and that hasn't changed. So to me, him being a 3/3 really doesn't make a difference. KM, how do you feel about this nerf?
R.I.P. Bozo. I'm so glad.
R.I.P..
Like, this guy shouldn't have been a 3/4. They basically said it in this. Like, if you read what they said, they were like, as for Mobius, we felt at the time that we buffed him, when, parentheses that I'm adding here, Surge was a 2/2 and Mr. Fantastic First Steps was a 2/2, that it was a net improvement in the metagame due to the amount of cost reduction that was being slotted into a variety of decks. Now that many of these cards, Surge is now a 2/1, Mr. Fantastic First Steps is now a 3/4, are in better balance states, we feel that we might once again make it a relatively high opportunity cost card to put in your deck. Yeah, I mean, that's exactly what happened. It became way too free to put this guy in your deck. He at 3/4, there's like genuinely a sentiment I saw among high-level players was like, why are we not doing this? Now, of course, Cerebro 3 gets him back, which is, I'm not saying I'm sick of Cerebro, but the space it occupies in a metagame is not a space I like there being decks occupying consistently. When Cougar went on my channel and did an interview, one of the things he really called out was like, I have absolutely nothing for that deck. If I have to play against Cerebro 2, I just lose. If I have to play against any of these decks, I have there is no possible interaction for me. I will not be able to beat their output. Right. It exists in a space that is just fundamentally anti-interaction. And it's a space that Hela has previously occupied. When you have these sort of, my final turn is 95% of my power, and that power is enough to beat any mid-range decks, like, people complain about it in a bunch of different forms. For me, it's always been Hela. People complain about Sarah Tech. It's kind of the same thing. And Move Bounce, I think, is kind of the same thing. That is not a space that I think should be a space that is occupied very powerfully. And Cerebro does occupy that. Cerebro 3 has always been a little bit more dynamic in the sense that it is less just like, I have no broods, I have none of that. I care more about like being a Killmonger, Mobius, Cosmo deck. There's more things going on there. But I don't know. I'm largely happy that Mobius is eating a nerf. I do think it matters because now people get to play him less freely. And tangent into let's dunk Cerebro in a toilet.
All right.
On the Cerebro conversation, I do want to ask you something. I read something and I wanted to get your opinion on it because I thought it was a little elegant because of how Cerebro 2 and Cerebro 3 has this constant like which one's stronger when, and different. More often than not, I feel like it's been Cerebro 2. What about a Mr. Sinister that's a 3/3?
What do you mean, what about it? Like, in what context?
Taking it away from being a 2/2.
Oh, just like change Mr. Sinister?
So that way you have your option of your Brood, which makes 3 2 powers, or you have 2 3 powers. And I thought it was a unique idea.
I think that's cute, yeah. Would it be 3 cost? Because then what you're doing is doing a Surfer force multiplier.
True.
I think a lot of Surfer players would be very happy with that.
Yeah.
I think that would be like a big space where you'd see some upgrade there. I would think that largely it makes more sense to keep them at different costs based on what they are. I think it's a nice lesson in the value of board spaces to players in the early part of the game. I also think that, like, what sets Cerebro 3 apart from Cerebro 2 was that it had access to all of these interactive tools. Like, when Cerebro 3 was a better deck, it was Juggernaut, it was Negasonic, it was Killmonger, like, it was Cosmo. Those were the things that did it, right?
Yep.
And when it loses, Juggernaut and Negasonic out of that package, it becomes like a much less dynamic deck to play and more boring. And I would worry that would just make it even more boring. Like, if you're like, here's some more boring Cerebro things to do. What made Cerebro 3 interesting was the dynamic stuff that it could do.
Okay. That's fair.
Just thought it was an interesting thought. Want to get your thoughts on it.
Yeah, because 3, probably OP when it comes to Surfer. But nonetheless.
Surfer needs the help.
He needs the help? Okay, all right.
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah, that's fair. Okay, no problem. Rogue. Speaking of 3-cost cards, Rogue is now a 3/3. I'm happy for her. Buffs are always great. To me, I think we've seen Rogue a lot, especially with Mobius being all over the place and Victoria Hand being part of the meta. So Rogue getting an extra part of power is pretty good. I'm pretty happy for her. Rogue hasn't been played in a negative deck in a long time, but nonetheless, her going to 3/3, I'm very happy for her. So I'm good with this one. KM, how you feel about Rogue?
I think they could have been more generous here. This one and one other change are the ones that were the most disappointing to me. Because with the loss of Enchantress, I think Rogue has a real space to like define her space in the metagame, and they could give her the help to do that. And I just don't think they've properly accounted for, or I think they're over-indexing for steal here in her text, when I think a pretty decent portion of the time what she is turn off, and steal is functionally irrelevant to your game plan. Like, if we're both playing V-hand decks, then Rogue is amazing because it steals a V-hand. If I'm just playing a normal deck against your V-hand, I'm turning off your V-hand. I'm not getting anything out of it saying steal. Right. And my instinct is that 3/4 would be a fairly safe space for this, especially given the counterplay that is inherently built into it. If it can only steal one ability, stuff that can be built around by including things like Sam Wilson or having a lot of ongoing cards, I would have been more aggressive with buffing Rogue, personally.
Okay, that's fair. Guess how you feel about it?
I think the only reason that this is even here in this list is actually specifically because of KM. Because he has been on the...
I have been yelling about it a lot, yeah.
You've been yelling about it a lot since the 5-in Enchantress from the Synthezoid change. And it was like the first sentence is, here's what I like about the Enchantress change. In conjunction, they should do something about Rogue. And then it was a series of later videos where it would come back up in multitude as well. And I 100% agreed. Like, it was like, yeah, this makes total sense. I think the only reason it came to the forefront was because they probably heard you. And thanks, because it needed some love. It's not love. I'm with you on that, but it's something.
I'm not a, like, let me put it this way. If they listen to me, I'm very grateful for that. I know that there are people at Second Dinner who have like watched my content occasionally, right? And I'm super grateful for that. Thanks to Jason for coming on the show. Thanks to Glenn for coming on the show. Like, I really appreciate that. I don't think I should get credit for any of this. Like, that's not... These guys, from every conversation I've had with them, are in large part better at card games and smarter than I am. So when I come up with an idea, it's probably occurred to them, is largely my assumption. They are better at their jobs than I am at doing their jobs. And so, like, when I notice something, it's not that I'm getting it on their radar or anything. They probably noticed it a month before. They probably had in the notes about 5/8 Enchantress, what do we do about Rogue in the future? Like, these guys are very, very, very smart. That is, like, the number one thing I would convey to you guys to anyone watching about the people who make the cards for this game. I have talked to several people on the dev team, and overwhelmingly, I have been absurdly impressed with I don't even know what else to say. They're smart as hell. Everyone I've talked to who does the card stuff, it's unbelievable. Like, when I look at the questions in Ask the Team sometimes, where it's just like people just assume that they're like dumb as bricks or whatever. Like, the inbuilt assumption of the question is like, hey, did you guys think about the fact that Enchantress could kill ongoing cards? Like, stuff like that, where it's just like, they thought about it. I promise you.
Yeah.
Like, I promise you they thought about that. I can't speak to any other team because I don't have access to any other team in Second Dinner. I don't get to go to the monetization guys and be like, do you want to be on my show? You know? Right. There's no upside for them in that. But in the limited amount of contact I've had with the people who do the balance, they're so goddamn smart and so goddamn good at games. I promise you Michael Majors is better at card games than I am. I promise you.
Yeah, but what you're saying is it's your birthday because they sure did change Rogue.
Now, if it was my birthday, it should be a 3/4.
You know what? That's fair. That's a fair
Actually,
point.
if it was my birthday, she'd be a 3-5.
3-5? Yeah, I'm about to say
Yeah.
that would probably be the best.
That's
one.
fair.
Oh man, but if they do that, then they have to, of course, buff Mr. Fantastic.
Is there an OTA on March 5th next year? They should do an OTA where they just make a bunch of cards 3-5.
That'd be fun.
That'd be awesome. Pisces.
Infinite,
Okay, there we go.
3-5. No.
No, so yeah, okay. And my birthday's next week, Friday. So if we were having OTA next week, Infinite better be on that list. Nonetheless, Fire Lord is a 4-7 now, guys. Congratulations. This is great. Yeah, okay. People still aren't playing Fire Lord, I feel. Anyway, nonetheless, how do you guys feel about
Wait. There it is.
What? People still playing Fire Lord?
That's my reaction.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, about to say, yeah, nobody's playing Fire Lord.
What do you think? It's just making random noises for no reason?
No, that's how I feel.
Yes, that's great. See?
Yeah.
Great. I would say page.
Just-
Guess, you too? Yeah.
Yeah.
Nobody
Just
cares.
like, all right, great.
Nobody cares. Nobody cares. Nobody cares. Honestly, Warlock. I'm happy for this change. Yeah, Warlock needed some love. I mean, to me, of course, his ability is better than what it is. I just wish they fixed the She-Hulk interaction with Warlock, than giving him an extra power. I can care less if he was 3-2, 3-1, but the fact that he doesn't work with, I mean, she goes after he does his thing, kind of sucks. Nonetheless, 3-4. I'm happy. Buff's always good in my park. How do you feel about it, KM? Warlock 3-4.
Should have been a 3-5. Should have been a goddamn 3-5.
I'm with you on
Okay.
that.
So my whole thing here is, and first of all, I should clarify for anyone who heard that I accidentally hit the desk. Warlock does not get me angry enough to like hit the desk, but it's just like I was lowering my hand.
Lies.
Yes. He's upset. Cross. Go ahead.
This is a card that requires a couple of things to actually be better than, say, playing Sarah. And you have to have both a She-Hulk in hand and a Sunspot on the board, basically. Like that's kind of where it hits the inflection point of this is worth doing. It's better than Sarah, because it does matter. Now, the problem you run into is that when you build a deck like that, you end up being the Mobius deck that still loses to Mobius extremely hard, but you also don't have the output of every other deck that loses to Mobius. You don't have the upside of every other deck that loses to Mobius. So you're the lowest upside deck that loses to Mobius. And your downside is you had to build a deck that functions when you don't have Warlock. So that means the rest of your cards are already pretty cheap, and your power output is pretty limited anyway. Right. And so you end up with a deck that is, in my opinion, the safest place to put a really stupid stat line on a 3-drop. They could do 3-6 on Warlock, and it would not be broken. They could do a lot of stupid stuff because of what is being asked of you in deck building by the rest of this package.
Right.
And I feel personally like it's a missed opportunity for them to take a swing on a card. They used to have this really strong commitment to, we are going to make sure that cards you get are going to be playable or decent or something. They added the text to Black Knight, for example, to make it not get Shang-Chi and Shadow King out of existence, right? They're willing to do that. And they'll walk those back sometimes in the future. Black Knight lost the anti-Shadow King stuff, right? But it does matter that when you take the swing, you connect. And I think here they took a swing and like they swung for contact instead of swinging for the fences. And sometimes that's the right decision, but I think this is a space where you swing for the fences. This is where you do Cal Raleigh stuff. It calls for a big dumper. And this is a situation where they're hitting for average. You know, there's nothing wrong with that, but it's not what you need right now for this card.
I agree. He needed more power, I think. Guess, how do you feel about him?
The She-Hulk thing is probably what I... What are you doing?
I'm bleeding from the thing where I hit my desk.
Wow.
Jeez, I thought you...
That's how mad
Wow.
Warlock
Oh,
makes
I
me.
got you. Yes. I love it.
This is
Please
what
help.
they've done to me.
Second dinner, you see what you did? You see what you did. Rogue
what
needs to be a
you've done?
3-5. Warlock needs to be a 3-5. Make it happen.
Yeah,
Damn.
just for that reason alone, I'm now officially on the 3-5 train. Just because, you know, they
Thank you, my
can't
liege.
get, you know, KM band-aids. You know, they can just, you know, they can give us at least a 3-5, you know, Warlock. That is your new rap name, KM Band-Aid. So
This
done.
will last until
wow.
shout out to Nelly. My This will last until my next bad take when my Imperial sponsorship is revoked and I have to resort to pirating. Currently, I'm a privateer, but,
Wow.
those papers are pending, and guest will not fulfill them the next time I say something like Invisible Woman is fined at 3-3.
Oh, my gosh. Invisible Woman first steps. Well, that was the OTA, everybody. How you guys feel about it? Let us know down below in the comments. You guys agree with us or you don't? How you feel about this? Is it a good OTA, lackluster? Nonetheless, I'm happy for some buffs, and I'm okay about some nerfs. And we go on to our next segment, where we go ahead and talk about the newest card that came out this week. And that kicked things off with Zombie Mr. Fantastic. Now, Zombie Mr. Fantastic is a on reveal Horde +2. Activate. Give 4 of your created cards here, +1 power. All right, so for me, I did get some time with the card. I don't know, these zombie cards are very underwhelming. I'm going to have to give this a double silver for at least being able to buff other created cards like swarms and things of that nature. I got to give this a double silver. Cam, how do you feel about Zombie Mr. Fantastic?
I am trying to remember your system, but I don't want you to explain it to me because I'm just going to wing it, okay?
Yeah, please. Yep.
Wing it.
Go ahead.
This is a double orichalcum. That's
Wow.
what I'm saying. I'm sticking with it.
Wow.
No, okay. Whatever. I'm not gonna talk to you guys about ancient coins. You don't want to hear that. Anyway, please. But yeah, this is a fine card. I think it's actually probably a little underrated right now because people are playing it with Zombie Scarlet Witch, who at least before the buff was pretty terrible, and Zombie Giant Man, who before the buff was pretty terrible. We'll see what they are now, but probably better. This card's actually probably pretty good. It's just people are playing it with cards that are naturally quite bad. But this is just, if you're playing Thanos, this guy probably ends up in your deck. If you're playing Aurashem, I think you strongly consider it. If you're playing Mysterio, I think you strongly consider it. It's just a pretty decent card, honestly. And I think there are also some priority implications that are pretty interesting, because Squirrel Girl has always had priority implications that are, non-zero, but because she's Squirrel Girl, she sucks, because it's too bad to use that board space on this. This card is reasonable enough, and the Horde is board space economical enough that there might be some utility in that as well.
All right, that's fair. Guess, how do you feel about it?
Sorry, I just had an idea with this card that I haven't tested yet, which is Zombie Mr. Fantastic, Squirrel Girl, and Dormammu, just to get some extra power in there. So, sorry. I actually think I'm kind of with KM in the sense that I think that we're just not playing the card fully right, because it's not best in the zombie package. It's not best in the Horde package right now. It's good in Thanos. I will say I built a Thanos deck that was very, very solid. And this was just there as an extra piece to give more power that, because let me rewind. When you go into a Thanos deck, there's different ways to consider the stones. You have the versions that want to fill the board. You have your Dazzler style builds with Khazar and your Zoo and your ongoings. And then you have your other ones that are looking to either destroy, or you have your Strange Supreme trying to clear up space on the board. This is for that style that wants to stay on the board. Therefore, you don't need those other mechanics to make your cards, your board spaces disappear because of that premium. This is capitalizing on it and being kind of like a mini Kahori. I think that this is a really solid card in that deck. So I do, and I think Thanos is starting to see more of a resurgence recently. We even saw it in the Golden Gauntlet 2. We're seeing a lot more people re-experiment with Thanos once again. So I'm curious to see Zombie Mr. Fantastic be worked with in that sense. People are playing it in Victoria hand decks, not because the Horde is getting the buff, but because you get a lot of created cards in that deck organically. I think it's a card that will continue to age well. I do think it's a gold card. I don't think it's a bad card, but it will continue to get better and better and better, just like the entire Horde mechanic as we get more and more pieces to it. But I think people should be experimenting with it outside of the Horde mechanic more than they currently are.
Fair point. Before we go to the next card, we got some breaking news. KM Bass, Joe Flacco scored. It's now 10-7 Steelers.
I actually already asked, like, hey, I need an off-ramp off this podcast right now. I have to go. Like, I actually have to go get ready for stream and all of that stuff and clean up my ridiculous, like, blood-stained hand, which I'm really genuinely kind of annoyed by. But yeah, I've got to go. I've got to go get ready for stream. Shout out to everyone in the chat. I'm glad I knew we were live this time. It's very, 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 very helpful.
We've learned, yes.
I can't believe I missed the once-in-a-lifetime moment of Joe Flacco actually throwing a touchdown. If you tell me that was more than 20 yards, I'm going to actually lose my mind. Because, I think it probably had to be. Yeah. Anyway, I really appreciate both Guest and Ken for having me on. This is always great to do after Golden Gauntlets. And I can't wait to be on here next time after the Golden Gauntlet World Championship. Yes. I do want to give one shout out to Ken real quick before I dip. Okay. And that shout out is because of the way you have consistently pronounced "not my dons." Yes. I no longer get him and No Lux Given confused.
There you go.
I got them confused consistently because it's like it's N and then
Right.
There's 3 total capital letters. Right. And I got to be honest with you, I read really fast. Like when I read really fast, it's a lot of it is like I recognize what the word is from like markers within the word rather than actually processing and reading the whole word. Right. So that happens to me a lot.
That's perfect.
You have successfully cured me of this with that specific interaction. So thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
For your service. You know, I was very entertained.
I loved it. Love that. All right, perfect.
Also, what do I do? Do I just click leave? Is that what's going on?
Yeah,
just end.
Okay, you're not going to be like filming here because I'm definitely going to take my shirt off and start like swinging it around. So if anyone sees that,
we'll put it on the Patreon.
PayPal me $5.
We'll make a
please.
Patreon just for that.
All right. I will catch you later. Thank you so much. It has been an absolute pleasure.
As always. You too. Peace.
Be good, man. Thank you so much, as always. Cool. All right, continue on, good sir.
You got it? Perfect. All right. So, our next card that came out yesterday. Didn't get a chance to play it yet, and it is the Hunger. The Hunger is the Honorville +3 on the Horde. I haven't got a chance to play Sanctum yet. I got to get into that because I know it's going to go away soon. Guess, I'm sure you got a chance to play with the Hunger. How do you feel about this card?
This is the card we were waiting for last week.
Okay.
Hands down. This card absolutely makes Horde much more approachable, playable. You want to actually play the archetype once you start playing the Hunger. I sent you the list. Yep. I sent you the list that I was running. I ran this list for like 8 hours today, and I climbed from 83 to 95 with it. And that was after I had fallen, so it wasn't like the skip to 90 to 93. It was like legitimately 83 to 95 with the list at one point. Wow. And after hour 7, I got tired and started phasing, and I was like, you know what? No. I'm just going to stop playing this list for a little while. But it was incredibly solid. The highest in win rate it got up to was 70%. I think it settled at about 60 when all was said and done. That's like amazing. 60 cubes I went up. It was incredibly solid. The Hunger just activates so much more in the archetype because of what Zombie Giant Man wants, which is to get that horde onto the board in a easier, more approachable way. And even if it's turn 1, you have the ability, technically, you have the ability to get the card down.
Okay.
And just get the 0-3 on the board and start doing the stuff.
Right.
And this was just really solid. For those who are not on the video, on the audio podcast, it's the Hunger, Kitty Pryde, Squirrel Girl, Ghost Spider, Sam Wilson, Zombie Mr. Fantastic, Angela, Elsa Bloodstone, Hope Summers, Zombie Scarlet Witch, Zombie Giant Man, Galactus First Steps. And it was so much fun to see this deck do really, really well, because you have several different like there were a couple of games where you just don't draw any of the zombie cards, and that's fine. This is still a Hope
Powerful
Summer is
deck.
Elsa Bloodstone Kitty Pride deck, and it does great.
Yep.
Ghost Spider was an MVP so many different times. Galactus First Steps was an MVP because you need that big power. That's the thing that this deck was really missing, was it needed more finishers. It needed the big power plays. And the threat of Galactus First Steps also is a great mind game for the opponent. Then throw in Zombie Giant Man on top of it, which you could drop on turn 5 or turn 6 and feel really confident in doing that. Because you've got the Hope Summers line, you can still do multiple big plays and not feel like you don't have the ability to scale still. It is a very, very consistent list. Sam Wilson was in there to help fill the lanes with that shield, move the shield around at the right moment, get the Elsa Bloodstone in there, fill that lane, move it to another lane, and then it would just really, make it a lot easier to do, to scale power between Angela and Sam Wilson and Elsa Bloodstone. It was a very surprisingly good list, and I'm still working on it, to be honest. I think that there's probably another version of this list that's even better.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what it is yet, because Squirrel Girl was probably the most underwhelming card and is exclusively there for Zombie Mr. Fantastic.
You probably should take them both out. Probably throw in Miles in here because you got the shield. So you got another 1/6 you could drop at some point, especially if you're playing on Hope Summers. You can pull your card with Ghost Spider, play Spider-Man somewhere else, and then drop Galactus. You know what I mean? So you could probably swap out.
There's definitely some more experimentation with this. And
no, it looks good. I get it.
It really, it felt good. That's the most important thing with the deck, is that it felt smooth. I had multiple different play lines with it, and I was getting Zombie Giant Man up into the 15s and 20s easily.
Do you need hunger though? Is hunger a must-have?
Yes, 100. The deck doesn't operate without hunger.
So, not to cut you off, everybody who's listening and watching, keep in mind you can get hunger 100% totally for free by just playing Sanctum Showdown now until the next 5 days. Okay. Yes, I haven't seen this in a long time, and it's very impressive. I hope I play somebody today and they have hunger and it pops out and say, hey, new card, right? I would love to see that. I haven't seen it in a long time. But you can get this card 1000% for free by just playing Sanctum Showdown, because it seems to be kind of on the same level as Deadpool Diner, where it's very generous, right? So go ahead and get the hunger. Go ahead and build this list. I mean, some of these cards, like Angela, Kitty Pryde, Elsa, Hope, Captain America, a little bit different, and then, of course, Zombie, Giant Man, and Galactus. But you can build this list. It seems and sounds super fun, and it just makes sense, guys. It just makes a lot of sense. And I'm excited to try this out, and I am going to later this evening. But go ahead, continue.
Yeah, no, I think the only thing I'm going to say with this list is you'll constantly run into that struggle question of which 3 do I drop first? Because you've got Elsa Bloodstone, you've got Hope Summers, you got Zombie Scarlet Witch, and then you're trying to decide, should I play the Horde now by getting out Zombie Mr. Fantastic on 2?
Right.
I think that if you get 2/6 out of Zombie Mr. Fantastic in total, you're getting great value right off the bat, because he's a 2/2. He gives the Horde 2, and then activate his ability and it hits the shield and Zombie Mr. Fantastic. You're getting 2/6 value out of it without Squirrel Girl. So that in and of itself helps to justify his position in the deck, because when he reinforces the Horde, remember, you're also then in turn reinforcing Zombie Giant Man.
Yeah. I like this list. Definitely going to try it out. Definitely a good.
And note, almost all of my climbing was when Zombie Scarlet Witch was a 3/2 and Zombie Giant Man was a 5/3 +1.
Now they got a buff.
So it just got buffed.
Yes, let's go. So the deck even got better, ladies and gentlemen. Can't wait to try it out. Before we leave this screen, there's a cool Nebula variant you can get by getting the Sanctum Showdown Pass. It's a Peach from Mocha, I believe, Nebula, which looks super awesome. So I do implore you all to spend 800 gold and get the pass. It does help you climb the track a whole lot faster. And you're basically getting a variant at the end of it. So think about paying 800 gold for a premium mystery variant, but instead you're getting a variant plus more, right? I think it's pretty cool.
Way more.
Yeah, but I'm not going to lie to you guys. I think this Nebula variant right here is outstanding compared to it. I love Peach and Mocha, but the fantasy variants, Adia, this whole thing with the energy around the swords and her, I just wow. All right, that's what to show that real quick. Yeah, I can't wait to try this deck. It's a wrap. It's gonna make it do what it do. Thank you for that, guess. Now
You're
we're
welcome.
gonna
I'll
go
send you
back.
my variation of that Nebula variant as well because
Ooh,
oh,
yes, please.
I agree with you.
Let's
I
take
put
a
on
look.
the white the white rainbowy flare
Oh,
and then
oh
the
my
blue
goodness.
embers on it, and man,
That
it
looks,
is a
yes, with the silver board. Listen,
nice variant.
that
It is a
variant,
nice variant. Just
that
throwing it
Nebula,
out there. Just throwing it out there.
it's so
It's
good.
worth it.
I'll put it up there real quick, making sure they can't see anything crazy in the conversation. No, they can't. Look at this, guys. Guess is cursing me out in the conversation. Don't worry about it. But look
Yeah,
at the
it's normal.
nebula.
Yeah.
It's pretty sick. That is beautiful.
Yeah.
I totally agree. GG's on the nebula, my friend. All right.
Bag it.
Now let's go back to the card that's coming out next week. I think a lot of people have been excited for this card, including myself. Oh no, we're not. No, wrong card. It's not. This is not Zombie Century. It's a card that I think. Oh yeah. It's better than the current Captain Marvel, and that's Zombie Captain Marvel, which is activate. Destroy your other cards here. Get +3 power for each, and then move to a losing location. This card is going to be probably one of the best cards this season behind Zombie Galacti. Guess, what do you rank this card? Your preview ranking.
Cracked.
Yeah.
I think that this is just stupid good.
Yeah.
I mean, it's 413 that moves to a place you're losing. Okay. Fine by me. I'm thinking of, how we play cards like Merlin and how this does very similar ideas. Like, okay, this in Sentry, got it. This in Clog, got it. Like, it's just, there's so many things that this card is going to want to be a part of. I think it's one of the stronger cards of the month because it doesn't, it's not a horde card. It's just a good card.
Yes. Does it replace Cersei in the decks?
Probably.
Yeah. Because Cersei's ability was changing those cards. This actually destroys them because you don't give two shits. Get +3 power for each, as you said, 413, and then goes, what lane shall I go to? Oh, the losing lane. Victory. That's amazing.
Yeah.
This is pretty good. And it's an activate. So that's even better. Oh, my goodness. I mean, it's
going to go in Clog. It's going to go in Destroy. It's going to go into
Destroy
a zoo backup plan even. There's so many things that you could do with this card. I think that it is a really solid pick for if you have one card to get this season and spend tokens on, it might just have to be Zombie Captain Marvel.
Agreed. Outside of all the other zombie stuff, she's definitely a card to get. And I think, you're right. Destroy's going to love this, especially with Null, right? Playing a Null in a lane. Like, all right, I'm winning this lane with Null. Destroying all the other cards, giving Null more love, and then Zombie just says, I'll go to the losing lane for you. Yeah, it's going to be fun. I cannot wait to get it. I definitely going to give this a double platinum. That's my preview. It might get the diamond, but I'm going double platinum for now.
Yeah, I think it's a diamond card minimum.
Okay. Best card this season, ladies and gentlemen. Diamond it is. All right. So now, because we did everything earlier, we spoke about the wonderful Golden Gauntlet, right? We spoke about everything else we needed to. Now let's go ahead and look at some comments from our previous stream. But before we dive into that, I want to remind everyone again that it's Guest Gaming's birthday tomorrow. So when you're seeing this, actually today, so while you're seeing this, it's going to be on his channel. So make sure you guys in the comments down below start off by wishing Guest a happy birthday. Now, if you did not get a chance to see the stream with all the meats, can they see it on your channel, on your YouTube channel?
Yeah.
Where can they find that video?
Yeah, it's on Twitch actually because I did not do the stream on YouTube as well, just for logistics. So it is currently available on VOD on Twitch with all of the grilling and all of the chaos indeed.
Perfect. So make sure you guys go ahead and check that out before finishing the video because it was a great time. It was a blast. and those meats did look good. Pause for those who want me to say pause. I already know how some of y'all out there are. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Nonetheless, let's get to talk about some of these comments we got from last week. And of course, we kick things off with them. They mentioned Gunny T, where the T stands for Glazer, because that's what they say all the time. Interesting. Okay. I wonder how Gunny T loves that. All right. Another great podcast, and also available on 2 channels. What that means is, if you guys haven't seen, when it's on my channel, it's also on Guest channel, because we are in a collaboration. So if you guys do see Guest face there, I believe you can click on Guest channel. How does the collaboration work, Guest?
So it reaches both of our audiences in
Awesome.
that sense.
Okay.
You'll still get all the metrics, you'll still get everything on your side of the channel, but it just helps the reach, and that's why we're also doing this episode on this channel, and then
Right.
we'll go back to hosting it, back on your channel, but we'll always have the collaboration going, so that way my audience will always see it and your audience will always see it the same way. So we're just extending the reach as we do so.
I thought it showed up on both, but I don't know what the technicality stuff was.
Not on the homepage. There's a collabs area.
collab section.
It's a little different. If it's yours, like this one will appear on mine, but the last video that we did where I was a collaborator on it, it doesn't show on my homepage.
I got you. Okay. Pretty cool. Either way, it's awesome.
Yeah.
I just want to know how it really, really works, because, like you said, he mentioned
it's
on
great.
both channels. So it goes to both. That's pretty awesome. Damn, they should have done. Why didn't they do this a long time ago? Nonetheless. All right. So,
I don't know.
Somebody mentioned 4 days ago, I am days late to this, but I'm sure you guys already know. But it was very funny to me that at the very end, White Wing Brady said flat out, Frankie does not double after Zola is played. And you guys short circuit and grasp for logic with Zola and double Frankie. We sure did. We sure did.
Straight up.
Yep. That's how we do here. Is it late to sign up for the GG? 1000% it was late by the time you watched that video. You should have signed up from before, but nonetheless, King be joined. Not the next event, but hopefully the ones after. We'll make sure to follow me and guest so you know exactly when to sign up and when you cannot. Somebody mentioned Cerebro 2. Then somebody else said, great podcast, guys. I have to say this, but I feel Zombie Scarlet Witch should not have been the season pass card. Okay, I'm with you. I know this sounds dumb. No, it doesn't sound dumb at all, because he was already a season pass card not too long ago, but I feel Zombie Mr. Fantastic should have been it. I also think Zombie Scarlet Witch should have been a 2-3 instead of a 3-2. I feel she needs a buff already. Well, she just got one today for that reason alone. I do notice, for some odd reason, she's really hard to draw, at least for me. This is probably one of the most underperforming cards that we've got as a season pass in a long time. I just felt like that needed to be said, because I see a lot of people not saying that and like giving it a pass and saying, oh, well, we'll wait until more cards come out, which we did say that, right? We got to see what other cards come out, and they feel it's a bad excuse. Let's just call it as it is. She is a dud currently, and it is what it is. Second dinner dropped the ball on this one, and the only reason why I'm not upset is because we got a free Series 5 pack kind of make up for that. Well, guess what, Dave? She got a buff today. And you let me know in the comments down below or on Guest channel how you feel now about Zombie Mrs. Fantastic. I think somebody else said, AJ, I think Guest says it's a shame there isn't more hard mechanics so we can really see it in the GG tournament. I agree. I think if we did see more of these cards, or the hunger at least, maybe we would have saw it more in GG. But nonetheless, we still have a GG Worlds coming, the finals coming in November. So I can't wait to see what people bring to that event. So I mentioned also, the thing is, I don't have Conchu, anything I could switch out for that deck. You remember the deck you showed last week with Conchu in it? Is there anything else you can swap out for Conchu, or Conchu is a must?
Conchu's really good there, but if you're gonna try to swap anything else for that deck, even Hela does similar ideas. So I'd say Hela's probably there.
All right, perfect. Beta Ray Bill asked me, do I do weekly variant videos anymore? Well, to answer everybody's question, I will be doing something in the near future. But for now, if you want to see my takes on variants that are coming out, you can check out the weekly forecast over on Snap.fan. I am now the variant forecaster over on that website. Then we have, of course, people saying first. And then somebody, the cute, Hefner? Is it Hefner? Is it? No, it's Hanifer? Hefner. You
F and Pfeffer. Yeah, I know you're talking about.
Yes. You know, colonial America is not a slur. It does sound pretty accurate, in my opinion. All right, see? There we go. How do you feel about using Scarlet Witch emote for the sweats out there? Scarlet Witch has a new emote? The zombie one? I don't know. All right. Well,
I don't know.
that wraps up all the wonderful comments we got from the last episode. I'm not sure if he's talking about the one where she's going, phew, or there's a new one. But nonetheless, either way, Marvel Snap has been in a great place right now, I think, especially with Sanctum out right now and all the new cards that have come out and the wonderful variants. Oh, my goodness. The gold bundles. We had 2 gold bundles in a week. We normally do get that, I think, sometimes. No, either way.
Yeah.
Phenomenal showcase of these artists. I'm very happy with the variants that have come out. Those Cyberpunk variants, you did tell me, get a towel, and holy crap. That Danger variant, that Sentinel variant, the Jocasta, oh my, I'm not showing it. If you guys want to see it, check out the streams. Nonetheless, guess anything that you want to say before we go?
For my video peoples, I apologize again for whatever the hell happened. For my audio peoples, don't worry about it. But either way, just go to the YouTube and like and subscribe and come join us over here on the guest list. You're always welcome. I put out lots of content here on this channel if it's your first time seeing the ItsGuestGaming YouTube channel specifically. But yeah, I think it was a good episode, and get ready for next week.
Yeah, for sure. All right, guys. Till next time. Peace.